everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Race the Sun. Race the Sun is a game that's been on my radar for a while. I know it's been covered by other YouTubers, among them Rockley Smile and Omrecker, at least just, you know, my own little circle of people that I'm aware of. But it just came out a week or two ago in its full version, but I've been following it in its development for a while, and it's really interesting. It's a endless runner, but it's not really a runner. It's more like an endless flyer, where you're basically playing as a solar-powered spacecraft that is essentially making its way across this barren and very visually striking landscape to get as far as it possibly can. And it's a score-attacking game for sure. It's not just how far you can get, it's how many points you can get. Why don't we show off just how the heck this works? So I'm going to click on the Race the Sun mode. It's worth noting, there are online leaderboards for this, but I'm playing completely offline right now. I've had a little bit of issue with account creation that I believe lies with, you know, error between monitor and keyboard, or is that brain and keyboard? I can't remember. What's the tech support term they use when they want to clandestinely say that the user is actually an idiot? Whatever it is, I'm the idiot, as you can probably tell here. So we're playing as the spacecraft here. If we hit a wall head-on, we'll die, but we can glance off of objects without having major problems. Now, what we want to do, controls, by the way, very, very simple, just left and right, and there is a little bit of momentum-based movement involved, or momentum involved in the movement here as well. So, you know, if I'm hesitant to do it, but the longer that I hold a direction, the faster I will start to move in that direction. So it starts being a little bit slow when you turn, and then it gets faster and faster as time goes on. So let's talk about the things that we're collecting here. We're collecting tries, which are the kind of blue pyramids, which give us points and also feed into a score multiplier that you can see. 5 tries equals a new score multiplier. And yellow is a boost. There's 2 ways to die. One way that you can die is by hitting something, which you'll probably, yeah, just see right there. That was a total accident. Game gets very, very difficult, by the way. Yeah, one way to die is by crashing into an obstacle. Another way to die is to just run out of power. And the way that this works is it's kind of conveyed in a very visually cool way, which is via that sun up there at the top. So if you go in the shadows for too long, which is probably, oh god damn it, that was horrible. I never take that path, and that is probably why. But yeah, if the sun gets too low on the horizon and you start to, you know, slow down and eventually stop, then obviously you lose as well. And the way that you make the sun higher, it's almost like the sun is actually, like, in the distance beyond you. So if you get boosts, which are those, oh, Jesus Christ. If you get boosts, which are those, like, yellow power-ups that you can get, then you will end up getting a little bit closer to the sun, and it will get higher in the sky, if that makes any sense at all. I hope it does. So let's talk about the structure of Race the Sun. We should also talk about the release. I've been loath to mention that so far. Not loath to mention it, but I neglected to mention it so far. It's currently available on the Humble Store, like a lot of games these days, and it's $10, and they have a Greenlight campaign that is running right now as well. So I did want to talk about the structure of Race the Sun as well. So this is a game where you might be looking at it and thinking, oh, there must be like a random world generated each time. That's not actually the case, but there is a certain element of random or procedural generation involved here. There's a new randomly generated world every single day, so it's kind of like an iterated upon version of Spelunky's Daily Challenge, where you don't only get one chance to play the Daily Challenge, you get multiple chances, and then at the end of the day, whoever's #1 on the leaderboards, well, they get the bragging rights. Maybe they put in substantially more hours than the next person, but still. So it's kind of a cool idea that each map is like this kind of transient world that you can only play for 24 hours before it goes away. And, you know, it's not like, you know, people will probably have favorite maps, and they, oh, Jesus. You can also jump occasionally. You unlock that. There are unlocks that you will get in the game. And we'll probably see one soon. I'm getting fairly close to getting to level 6 on my player, which should unlock the ability to do a cool new feature if I have read the primer on the game correctly. But yeah, oh, Jesus, that was so bad. Obviously, the game is divided up into regions as well. So the furthest I've made it is Region 3, and then I'd always crash into something. Region 4 is something, I guess, beyond my ability. So the way that you get to further levels, it's almost like a 10 million thing, where you have to achieve as many of these objectives as possible to fill up these checkboxes. So use the jump ability 10 times. I can probably do it 4 times over the course of the next, you know, 10 minutes or so easily. Clear 4 regions in a round might be difficult, or reach 15 multiplier also might be difficult, but we'll try nonetheless. There is also a world creation or level editor, if we're going to go back to some old Northernlion terminology, in Race the Sun as well. So if you wanted to make your own worlds and then share them with your friends, you can do that. Oh, I lost my multiplier there, such an idiot. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's simplistic or if you're actually like building a whole level in Unity or something like that, assuming the game is built in Unity. But it's cool that it exists nonetheless, and you can obviously pass on those seeds to your friends. It's definitely a game that, despite being single-player only, is definitely designed with kind of playing with and around your friends in mind. There's no question about that. It's suited for online integration and kind of being a part of the community is the way, my impression so far. But again, I suffer with the account creation scenario. Anyway, we're going to pick up a boost here, and this pyramid, and this pyramid, and then we'll make our way into Region 2. So I've played about, probably about an hour and a half of Race the Sun in its final version so far, and I like it a lot. Initially, I was kind of the opinion that this is, it almost strikes me like a time waster to a certain extent. I know that's used derisively a lot of the time as like a pejorative for mobile games. You'd be like, oh, you know, it's not that good, but it's a game that I'd play on the bus, or it's a game that I'd play while, like, you know, waiting for the train or something like that. You know, there's nothing necessarily wrong with those games by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it is perhaps a disservice to put Race the Sun in that category. Now, from a gameplay standpoint, it's definitely very simplistic. This doesn't have the depth or complexity of a lot of the games that, okay, that was close. That come in at this price point. And indeed, there are some free games that are kind of similar to this. Chief amongst them, I would think about Photonica, that like first-person runner that I covered. I wish I remembered the name of the studio. I should, because I follow them on Twitter. But anyway, yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Photonica. And of course, Photonica, we did make it to Section 3 this time, which is good. Photonica was free. So I definitely, you know, I can understand the argument saying that this game should not be a premium purchase. That being said, the way that Race the Sun differentiates itself, there's an example of the kind of visual feedback, oh Jesus, of visual feedback for completing, or not completing, but for getting a boost that puts you back in the sun's rays. So you gotta stay in the light here, but the sun is still rapidly setting. Yeah, we're in a you can see also on our meter, if the sun goes down and we stay out of its light for too long, oh Jesus, I'm glad, oh no! I need the light, you fools! Ah, yeah, I'm screwed. But yeah, okay, the Race the Sun differentiates itself from a game that I would think should be free in a couple of ways. One way is just by the visual style, which is totally awesome. Really striking, minimalistic, but also, you know, it kind of looks like you might expect a barren alien landscape to work. I don't know if this game would actually work as well if it was a little bit more visually complicated. I often complain about that in games like this where, like, really fast reactions are necessary. Because, you know, if I play a shooter and... Oh, can I... Yes, okay. If I play a shooter and everything's, like, all over the place colorful, it makes it very difficult to tell what are obstacles and enemies and what are the actual, you know, good things for me. I said that particularly when I was playing Retrograde, which is a game that I wasn't necessarily the fondest of, simply because that visual style became too incoherent for me to really gain useful feedback from it as quickly as I needed to in order to not die. Race the Sun is basically like the antithesis of that. It has decided, you know, we're going to distill the game down to the most simplistic visual elements that still make it look fantastic, and we'll just roll with that. It doesn't need to necessarily be crazy colorful, it just needs to convey the information necessary and have a cool style all of its own, and I think it definitely succeeds on that. Also, you know, the shadows, really, really nice, obviously. The game's chief strength, I suppose, from a visual standpoint. Not only art design, but also the lighting as well, which is both, ooh, that was close, is both meaningful from a gameplay standpoint, because obviously, you know, shadows are something that you should avoid most of the time, but also, you know, very visually striking as well. It's a game that doesn't really look like any game that I've ever seen before. Okay, keep it up. The other thing that kind of keeps me coming back for more in this is that it has a really, really good sense of speed and weight on your, well, the sense of speed, I guess, is of the experience or of the game, but the sense of weight on your craft is good as well. It doesn't feel like, you know, you're like a stick of butter on an ice rink. It really feels like you're doing legitimate maneuvers here that might be physically plausible or plausible within the laws of physics in order to get from point A to point B and everywhere in between. There's also an unlock system, and I'm kind of on the fence about how I feel about the unlock system so far. Those of you who watch my videos regularly, especially when I play roguelikes, which this is obviously not, but especially when I play roguelikes and, you know, roguelike-ish games, you'll probably understand that I have an affinity for games where I consider them to be kind of pure gameplay in a sense. Oh, no, that's not good. Yeah, games where I consider, like, that the amount of time that you've invested in a game doesn't give you an advantage over anybody else, except for the fact that you've got more experience. Like, it doesn't give you any items that make it easier for you to succeed. Even when I played through Splinter Cell Blacklist this past week, I basically beat the game without picking up any of the new items. Every mission, they're like, pick up the tricopter, Northernlion. We really think you should use the tricopter to disable EMP systems, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, sorry, guys, no. I like to play games where, like, every time you start with exactly the same tools, and you start with exactly the same tools as everybody else, even if sometimes the game doesn't want you to do that. So Race the Sun does I wouldn't necessarily call it a misstep. It's obviously a personal preference type thing. But Race the Sun definitely has an upgrade system. At least for a while, it looks like there's 25 levels that you can unlock in the game. I'm only at level 5. The last thing I unlocked, and these are really, really minor upgrades so far. It's like getting a gem in League of Legends, or so I understand it. Like the last thing that I got was the magnet, which is, you can see in the bottom right there, which makes it so that I don't have to actually fly exactly over a try or a power-up to pick it up. I can just get in the general region, but you have to get still really damn close. It's not like it sucks in power-ups from across the map. You have to get very, very close to the power-up you're trying to pick up in case you want to actually get it, which you do, because you obviously want the points. Otherwise, why would you even be playing? It also does add a nice element of customization, I'll admit, because there is a like an equip ship button. So I'm believing, at least, oh, that was the worst obstacle. I had open plains around me on all sides. I do believe that there are different loadouts you can basically get for your ship. So maybe you don't want the magnet, maybe there's something that gives you an extra bar on your ship of solar power or something. Maybe there's something that gives you a little bit of extra speed, I don't know, or makes tries worth a little bit more percentage each, or percentage of points each, or makes your multiplier fill up in 4 instead of 5. I have no idea, and it's probably irresponsible for me to brainstorm. Oh, we did manage to get that. It's probably irresponsible for me to brainstorm power-ups that may not actually be in the games themselves. I'm just, you know, postulating some possible theories for items that could exist in the game. Don't take that as verbatim, please. That would be, again, incredibly irresponsible of both of us now because of the caveat that I've already given you. I will admit that sometimes it can be, because of the speed that the game moves at, it can be really tricky, even on these first levels, to get some of the more difficult power-ups. And I guess that's a good thing because it rewards people who have more skill and experience in the game. But also, it can be really infuriating to, like, die to obstacles on the first region. It's also worth noting that it can be a little tedious sometimes if you're really having a problem with, like, Region 3, like I am, for example. It's a little tedious to have to go through Regions 1 and 2 every single time, again, just to get to Region 3. Mind you, this is a score attacking... Oh, I really, really should not have done that. Mind you, this is a score attacking game. So I'm just going to use my jump a lot on this one, so hopefully we'll get a little closer to getting that level 6 upgrade. I will explain the level 6 upgrade because it's possible that I might not get to it. But yes, one thing I wanted to, the thought I wanted to finish is that it can be a little frustrating to have to finish the same relatively easy sections just to get to the more difficult section again. And again, I completely ate my own words by just steering into the wall there. It's kind of, there's a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to learning how to control the ship. Because initially you want to make like really minute movements, right? In order to be in greater control, as I am obviously not right now. But after a while, you learn that it's actually very important, at least in my limited experience so far. Maybe you want to take this with a grain of salt, because clearly I'm really bad at the game. But you want to be a little bit more aggressive with your maneuvers, just to make sure that you can, you know, move from side to side as quickly as possible. But still, I find myself dying in situations, and I'm like, I don't really see death approaching, it just happens, and that can be a little jarring. Ooh, okay, that was really close. So we're gonna just continue to slide through here. But yes, let's use our jump some more. It's not necessarily the most important play for us to make here, because I usually use jump to get around obstacles. Sometimes there's also tries in the air, which would, I guess, be useful to pick up with the jumping tool. But we'll use jump as often as possible, simply because it is going to allow... Oh, you can get power-ups in the... or you can get boosts in the air, at least. I'm using the jump button as much as I possibly can here, just to hopefully get to 10 jumps, and maybe get a chance to level up to level 6. By the way, I was going to mention, at level 6 you unlock the ability to do relay races, which essentially means you can load into a seed, die, we didn't get the second jump there, I really thought I would. You can load into a seed, and then when you die, you'll get a link, and you can use that link, send it to your friend, and then your friend can pick up from where you left off, and you can see, you know, which team of 4 can get, like, the highest score and get the furthest as well. So there's some tries for me. This is approaching one of the best runs I guess I've ever had on this particular map. I'm still nowhere close to getting that 15 multiplier necessary. Okay, just gotta keep it smooth. Sometimes, you know, an aggressive reaction is exactly what the game wants you to do in order to fail. There's another boost. And if we can get it to Sector 4, I would be an exceptionally happy man here, because it would only be the second time, I think, that I've ever done it over the course of my entire time with Race the Sun. So the one, you know, if I was to offer some criticisms for the game, I do wish that almost there was like a daily challenge mode like this, and maybe you can replay it. Oh, this is only Region 3? I'm an idiot. Yep. Oh, well, we survived that somehow. Again, it takes a really serious shot to kill us. It only takes one of those, but a glance we're okay with. Yeah, I almost wish that this mode was kind of like a daily challenge mode. Where's the sun? God damn it. I wish that this mode was like a daily challenge mode that you could kind of go back and play multiple times. Clear 3 regions with no collisions. I can probably do that. And I wish that there was kind of like almost like a Spelunky or Isaac type mode where every time you loaded in, the save was different. Now, you know, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a software engineer or a game designer. I don't know if that would even be feasible to do, to generate a world of this size with, you know, these graphics instantly and, you know, quickly enough that the loading times wouldn't be a major issue. I'm just saying, in a perfect world at the very least, that's what I would like to see, is, you know, the ability to get a different seed every single time. Maybe that exists to some extent in the level creation mode, and if so, then I apologize, because I've obviously done a disservice here. But yeah, this is a game that I think, if you're the kind of person who can really get fixated on survival-y, score-attacky type games, like if you're the kind of person who lost hours to Cannibalt, or Super Hexagon. I meant to mention Super Hexagon earlier, but it does have kind of similar elements to it, even though the games, you know, on the surface could not be more different unless the one of them was like a AAA first-person shooter. It still has that same kind of thing where the game sinks its hooks in you and you're saying, you know, every time you die, because it only takes, you know, 30 or 45 seconds in order to get back in, you're oftentimes saying, you know, just one more game, just one more race. Especially since, you know, like Super Hexagon, well, I mean, in Super Hexagon, the levels aren't the same every single time, but you know, there's different archetypes that the levels can draw from every single time. In this, you know, you're like, oh, I can totally get past that obstacle next time because, you know, I've seen it before. I should know what to do. Oftentimes, that is a fallacy. So we're going to try to get through 3 regions without taking damage here. Region 2 so far is looking pretty nice. Obviously, I was very concerned that I had just spoiled it for myself right there just by saying that. Okay, that was really close. I have not picked up, like, any tries or any boosts in a long time, but this is all about survival and bringing the ship back to Region 3 unscathed. I should also, oh, the whale almost hit me. I should also definitely get a jump because that obstacle at the very beginning of Region 3 will fucking destroy me. Either way, this will probably be the last run that I do over the course of Race the Sun, though. I will admit, you know, that's probably my major problem with the game so far, is that it's nice that the level changes day to day, but by the same token, I'm like, well, do more, assholes. Like, oh, I lost my ability. I don't actually mean that the developers are assholes. I'm actually kind of being self-aware, calling myself an asshole for being so demanding. But yeah, do more, assholes. Make it so the level regenerates new every single time. That's not necessary. Yep, see ya. That's not necessarily an unreasonable complaint either, but this is Race the Sun. There will be a link in the video description below to pick this up on the Humble store if you're interested. Like I mentioned, it's $10. A lot of people are going to be cool with that. A lot of people are not. If I go to configure ship here, yeah, I don't have any. You can see my stats anyway, but you can't see my 0.62 hours played. That must just be hours in the sky because that is not, judging by my clock, how much time I've spent with the game. Additionally, even if you're not going to pick up the game, you should definitely consider giving it a vote on Greenlight, which may actually be as valuable, roughly, as a purchase at this point. It's free, and there will be a link to Greenlight in the video description below, so you should definitely go check that out and vote for it. If you want to see this on Steam, I know it would be a big help to the developers. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Again, relevant links in the video description below, and I'll see you next time.